Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here with Michelle.
I'm here.
We are putting out an old episode today. That's right. We've been a show long enough that we have enough episodes that we can put out an old one. Isn't that awesome?
Thank you for getting my input. Yes, it's awesome.
We're taking the week off because we are at the Stony Brook Film Festival, and we're watching a bunch of great movies, and we're interviewing some directors, and we just couldn't do all of that and a new episode. So sit tight. Next week, we will be back. Same Movie Friends time, same Movie Friends channel, with a new episode to finish out Jim Lie. So today, you're going to hear a re-release of our episode on The Truman Show from last year. Michelle, what do you remember about The Truman Show?
I love The Truman Show. I think we both can agree that we feel this is Jim's best performance. The thing that comes to mind is when we talk about the ending, and I wanted more and you thought it was perfect.
Yes. So look out for that. I go on a crazy tangent about the ending, not in a bad way. Like Michelle said, we both love this movie, and it actually kind of worked out to reissue this episode to round out the series because we've been doing different Jim Carrey movies. Next week's episode is kind of left field, too. So sticking Truman Show in here, it feels right. It feels good. Hey, before we go, though, we are now officially 2 months away at the date of this recording from our live show coming up September 21st, Long Island, New York. So if you haven't already, make your plans to be there. We would love to see you. We would love to talk to you.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, no, come see us. I can't believe we're 2 months away. It's going to be a good time. It is free. We're covering Space Jam.
Not as good of a film as Truman Show, but it's going to be a really great time. Anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you next time. Welcome to Movie Friends. We are your hosts, Seth and Michelle, and today we're talking about The Truman Show from 1998. Directed by Peter Weir, written by Andrew Niccol, cinematography by Peter Bijou, composed by Wojciech Kilar, Philip Glass, and Burkhard von Dalwitz, edited by William M. Anderson and Lee Smith, starring Jim Carrey, Laura Linney, Noah Emmerich, Natasha McElhone, and Ed Harris. Michelle, how are you?
I'm good, Seth. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Are you? Because you said in the Discord you were super nervous to talk about this, and full disclosure, I didn't continue reading why. So my day got ahead of me, and I'm real behind on the Discord messages.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. It's a shame because you missed a good chat about like Shane West crushes and Princess
I remember
Diary
when I locked
talk.
eyes with Shane West when I asked him what kind of noodle he would be.
And what did he say?
Spaghetti.
Ugh. Shane. You can do better than that.
He's so
You're better
dreamy,
than
though.
spaghetti, Shane.
So dreamy.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous to talk about this. And then I fell asleep while finishing my notes and woke up and I'm ready to go.
Hey, so you just needed a cat nap.
Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
all you need is a little nap. You feel
That's
like
right.
crap? Take a nap.
There you go. If I feel like crap, I don't take a nap because then I'll feel like more crap.
Right. I have experienced that as well.
Yeah.
Hey, so this might seem off topic, but trust me, it will come back around.
Okay.
You had your anniversary this week,
Yes.
and you went into the good old New York City,
The good old NYC, Big Apple.
and you went to see a little guy display.
That
What
was
would you
that
call that?
was part of it. We went and saw the Smallest Beautiful exhibit. Yeah, that was
Okay.
the second day of our anniversary.
Yeah, and you sent me a photo
I did. An artist
from
created,
the Smallest Beautiful.
Yeah, the artist created the last scene of the Truman Show.
Yeah, what are the odds of that?
I
Seriously,
know.
like
No, seriously.
it's pretty strange.
It's so weird because there were other movies that this artist recreated, did Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. There was another one. There was like 4. And then the last one was The Truman Show. And I was like, whoa, this is wild because we're covering it this week.
We got to post that picture somewhere.
Yes. I shared it with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're beginning a new month, July. The year is almost...
What the heck?
We're on the downslope right now, which I'm fine with. Hey, that's fine.
It is what it is. It's got to be better in the first half.
Yeah. I know. I spent the whole first half of my year doing a podcast.
I spent the first half sick with a broken rib, so.
Oh, that's true. I was going back and listening to an episode because I'm trying to do some like cataloging of some notes. Uh-huh. We always say we don't remember what we rank movies. So
yeah.
I'm trying to keep track of them most. And listening to the episode of like Shrek and Napoleon Dynamite where your voice is like so raspy and you're so sick. I was just like thinking back to that and I was like, wow, maybe we shouldn't have recorded.
Yeah.
Michelle sounds pretty sick.
Yeah, imagine if someone just tunes in for those 2 episodes and they think that's what I sound like.
I know.
Yeah.
So we're beginning Friend Request Month.
We are.
We're covering all movies that were requested by people who listen to the show. We whittled some of them down based on availability. We had the patrons in the Discord vote on what they thought would make good episodes, and I totally agree with them. We came out with a batch that when I looked at it, I was like, wow, these are all phenomenal choices. Like any one of these that we do, it's like, yeah, these are like home run choices. And the first one we picked was Truman Show. But before we get into the Truman Show, we do have a couple of emails.
Woo! Email.
Bing, bing, bing.
Are you trying out?
Wait,
You're
that's
workshopping
NBC. Oops.
Some new stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So first email is from Matt. Matt says, hi, Seth and Michelle. Listen to the episode about Hunt for the Wilder People, where Michelle talks about loving Bigfoot. Michelle, have you seen the stop-motion animated film Missing Link about Sasquatch, or the 80s film Harry and the Hendersons? Fun stuff. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thanks. I've been trying to get Seth to watch Harry and the Hendersons, so maybe because someone...
I've seen it.
I don't care if you've seen it. We clearly are going rogue on this podcast of who sees what, so I'm still going to push for Bigfoot Month.
Okay. All right. What about Missing Link? Have you seen that?
Is that the one... Is that the newer... Is that newer?
It's newer, yeah. Hugh Jackman...
Yeah, I think that's what Kelly wanted me to watch.
It's great. The studio does a lot of really great stuff. Leica.
Yeah, so maybe we could watch that during Bigfoot Month.
Hey, it sounds like Matt gave us a good two films to start on.
I know. Thanks, Matt. Send 2 other suggestions, and we're good to go.
Then we got another email from Kate, and she's talking about Clueless.
Kate is great.
Which, I mean, Clueless. What an episode that was, huh?
Sure was. In
so
many ways. So many ways,
yeah.
Right?
Probably the hardest episode for me to edit in the history of this show.
You did a great job, though.
But I think it came out good, and, I'll never forget her marinara thing. That was so funny to me.
So funny.
Hey, if you want to know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to Clueless. Come on. All right, so Kate says, hi, Seth and Michelle. Well, you asked for it, so here are my comments on Clueless. Seems a little threatening to start out.
Coming in hot.
This movie was extremely formative for me and has long been one of my absolute favorites. It came out the summer before my senior year of high school, and I went to see it multiple times with my besties Amy and Nicole, who loved it just as much as I did. We then proceeded to drive everyone around us crazy by quoting the movie constantly throughout the entire school year. Nicole and I used the clip where Cher says, she's a full-on Monet. It's like a painting, see? In a presentation that we did that referenced Impressionism.
Amazing.
Amy wrote something about Clueless in my yearbook that year. Not a quote, but an actual comment on what a great movie it is. And then in parentheses, she says, I just moved. Otherwise, I would try to dig out the yearbook and look at what she actually said. Well, Kate, if you ever get around to it,
please,
6 months from now, let us know, please.
Please, yes.
I know this movie so well, and I've loved it for so long that it is difficult for me to look at it critically Agreed. And so I really enjoyed listening to the pod and hearing your perspectives. I absolutely love Cher, and was kind of surprised to hear that she is not everyone's favorite character. Same, Kate. For me, she is this movie. Everything revolves around her, everything is seen from her perspective, and loving this movie means loving Cher. I have always found her to be so smart, so capable, and so charming, despite all of her flaws. On the other hand, I have never really liked Ty.
Wow. Okay.
Dropping the Ty bomb. She's an essential part of this movie, so I don't mind her character, but I just don't really like her personality. It annoys me how dramatic she is about Elton. And then she sends the... What do you call an emoji? Like, what did we use before actual emojis, where you would, like, type out the shapes?
Oh, my gosh. Yes. Like emoticons?
So, yeah, okay, I guess so. So she types out the one where it's the guy, like...
Uh-huh. Oh, classic.
It's like the shruggy leaning head one.
Yeah.
And then she says, I've really enjoyed High School Month. Best, Kate. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
I kind of agree. I don't dislike
Ty.
I don't dislike her, but she's a little dramatic.
Well, also, like, we don't dislike Cher. There's no character in that movie I don't not like. It's just Ty was my favorite out of the three of them.
Right.
Hey,
we'd love to hear from you. If you want, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Email us about Bigfoot or Cher, high school, whatever.
Clueless.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from somebody, let's hear from the person who picked this movie, The Truman Show. So this movie was submitted by our good friend Sean.
Sean Shank.
And he sent us a little voice memo explaining why he liked it so much. So let's listen to that.
Hey, movie friends. I chose The Truman Show because of Michelle's love of TV. It was a prescient movie for the rise of reality television. Big Brother debuted in America the year after The Truman Show came out. Today there are people on Twitch literally recording their lives for their followers. The Truman Show was the movie that showed the world that Jim Carrey was an actor, not just someone that talked out of his butt. He wasn't even nominated for the Oscar, but he did win the Golden Globe. The Truman Show has one of my favorite scenes in all of film. About 58 minutes in, Truman is reunited with his dad. At this moment, the Wizard of Sea Haven is shown, Kristoff, played by Ed Harris. And you see that the music affecting your emotions is literally being played by someone in a studio. This is one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion, and I hope it's watched by everyone. Thank you for selecting it for the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
He brings up something I really quickly want to touch on. Michelle, you love Big Brother.
I do love Big Brother. And I'm trying to remember if I watched season 1. I was like looking up a cast photo. I think I did, but I definitely watched season 2 and 3 and then so forth and then fell off. But now I do watch it for like the past 6 years. I'll tune in.
Is it like Big Brother season right now? Is that like...
It will be in August.
For football people, it's like...
Yeah, soon. Season. I mean, usually it's like summer. It's like your summer show. But It's not coming back until August. And every year it gets worse and worse, to be honest. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. Yeah, it's just, yeah. But, you seem to forget that because there's hype around it every year. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to tune in anyway. Hey, movie friend listeners, if you're into Big Brother, let's watch together. Also, there's people that do Big Brother drafts. I would love to be a part of something like that. Someone set it up and hook me up.
All right. All right, you heard it, folks. If you're into Big Brother, or if you've always meant to get into it,
now's the time.
Now's the time. Hit up Michelle. She would love to talk to you about Big Brother. Guaranteed.
I love it. Let's do it.
Maybe I'll get into it this year, and we can do a quick Big Brother recap.
Ooh, that would be fun. Although I think you'd probably hate it.
I probably would.
Yeah.
I'm not big into reality television.
Big Brother is definitely my favorite in terms of like old school reality, but I love The Circle. Like now, The Circle, Love is Blind, Married at First Sight.
Oh, I can't do... Wait, okay. Which one is Love is Blind? Is that where they go into the little room and there's a mirror?
Yeah.
but they can't see.
Yeah. Have you watched The Circle? The Circle's great. I love The Circle.
No, I don't watch a lot of like any of them.
But, like,
and I don't.
Yeah, out of all of them, I bet you would do so well on The Circle. Oh my God, Seth, you should go on The Circle.
What is The Circle?
Oh my God. Okay, so pretty much you can be yourself or a catfish, and you only communicate with other people through kind of their own social network. And so you create a profile. It's pretty much like you're using Twitter, Instagram DMs to communicate with the other people in the game.
Okay.
And then you're rated as influencer, but it's not toxic. It's a really good reality show, and you, who is so witty and you're a great writer, you would do so well on The Circle. Guys, write in
next year on
and tell me if Seth would be great on The Circle. Let's get Seth on The Circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Circle.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is you can't type, so everything is through words. So you'll just be like, circle, open message, and then you say it, and then they type it for you. No, it's so good. It is so good. It's
okay.
So
I'll
good.
check. I will check it out.
Yeah.
I did check out the OC on your recommendation, and I'm now a fan of that show.
Oh my God. Yes. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, y'all.
Anyway, none of those things are what we're talking about today. So, you have seen this movie before.
I have it so long ago, though.
So, yeah, close to a first-time watch for you.
Yeah.
But what did you think?
It's wild. Like, it is so creative and so dark and so messed up. And I think I wrote this in my notes too. Like, the whole concept is so messed up, but yet I would be a viewer. Like, I would tune in. Wouldn't you? Would you tune into The Truman Show? Out of curiosity? Or do you think it would be something that you were brought up with that you're like, jaded by it?
I don't know. I don't know if I would watch it or not. You know, maybe I feel like they would have to segment out parts of his life. Like, parts of his life would have to be so scheduled for people who are interested in different things. Like, oh, I watch Wednesday nights because that's when they go bowling.
Right.
Or like, oh, I watch like Saturday morning because that's when he goes to visit his mom and she's crazy, you know.
Right.
I might, like I said already, I'm not really big into reality TV. I did watch all of Tiger King.
Ugh. That was so awful.
Yeah.
It was
very awful.
That made...
I remember at the time when this came out, this was a movie that we watched definitely like as a family. This movie is only PG.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
No, that cannot be right. PG?
Yeah, it's rated PG. This time around, because I noted that it was rated PG before I did my final watch through, I only saw maybe 2 or 3 curse words. There's no sex. There's almost no violence.
I guess I don't know. I don't know honestly how the ratings are determined, but I would think this one would have to be at least PG-13. I mean, it is pretty dark. The whole idea that a corporation can adopt a human and
its
be in
themes
charge
are really
of everything
dark.
is
Yeah,
real
but
bad.
in terms of like the content that they normally flag for like, oh, kids can't watch this.
Yeah, that's true.
It almost has none of them. It's partially because of the setting. We're in this 1950s fake world. So anyway, this was a movie that I would have seen probably pretty close to when it came out. And it really blew my mind. I was like, is this the greatest film ever made? And I've never been able to understand why this movie is so great. And I kind of still don't.
Same.
Like, on the other side of it, I still don't know what it is exactly about it that I can say, oh, that's great. I can tell you things about it that are great, but why it all comes together so well, because this movie could have gone so wrong. Mm-hmm. It's so high concept and high design, right? It's so design heavy. And we saw that happen recently with a film called Don't Worry, Darling, that was directed by Olivia Wilde, starred Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, bunch of people. It's a similar setup in that it's a high concept science fiction film about a false reality. Almost every part of it like doesn't work, you know? And so the Truman Show, it really does this strange tightrope walk. They pulled it off perfectly. And like I said, when we did Dead Poets Society, another Peter Weir movie, it's also kind of like, wow, this movie's really great. I don't really know why, though. Like, Peter Weir is like the king of, this is a great, mediocre movie. And that might seem offensive to somebody, and I don't mean it that way. This is a great movie.
Yeah.
I just don't know why.
I know. Do you think it's Jim Carrey's performance? I mean, regardless of Peter Weir and the script and Ed Harris, but Jim Carrey is the one we're watching portray Truman.
Yeah. No, I think it all works. I think all of it works. There's almost nothing in this where I'm like, nah, I don't really buy that. I have a few scenes that I will bring up, but Carrey is great. Part of what was really exciting at the time to watch him in this was that he had only done comedy prior to this. And he does this role, which is, you know, still goofy. He's still making faces and doing funny little lines. But the parts that are dramatic really, really hit you. And so it was cool to see that like transformation, like somebody actually acting differently from how we normally see them. When you watch Ace Ventura and then you watch Dumb and Dumber, it doesn't feel like a big jump. And even like Dumb and Dumber to The Mask to Liar, Liar, they don't feel like big jumps. This was a huge jump.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't even know what to compare it to nowadays. We're seeing in real time someone try to do this with The Weeknd in the HBO show The Idol, and it is like crashing and burning.
I haven't even tuned in. I haven't even tuned into that.
I've seen clips, and you know what? I'm just going to say this. I can't judge the show because I haven't seen it, and I won't. I'm not going to say that it's bad. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend time on it right now, but hey, who knows? I could love it.
Yeah.
But this one was pulled off. He pulled it off. He wins the Golden Globe for Best Actor. He beats out Tom Hanks for Saving Private Ryan.
Wow.
Beats out Nick Nolte. Beats out a few really big names. And I think it's pretty well deserved. I mean, he's great in this movie.
Yeah, and apparently he almost died on set.
Yeah, what is up with that?
What is up with that? Crazy in the boat scene.
I know.
Almost drowned.
I know. I never thought about this movie as a genre movie. I just thought about it as a drama. I didn't think about it as like a science fiction movie.
I didn't either, but after watching it and before reading anything or listening to anything or talking to you about it, I was like, holy shit, this is a sci-fi movie. This is 100% a sci-fi movie.
Full on.
Yeah.
Like a Philip K. Dick, Twilight Zone, you know. It's also a prison escape movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also, in parts, some people have said, close to a horror movie.
Yes, for sure.
This is a very philosophical movie.
Yep.
Very much so. You know, Truman obviously being named Truman, True Man. What are the boundaries of reality? Christoph has the great line, we accept the reality that we're presented with. It's as simple as that. This whole idea that Truman, at any point that he is able to overcome his fears, could have actually left. He had to overcome a lot of obstacles and, you know, groups of people running,
but they
hospital
say that
orderlies with shelves blocking his path.
Right. They say that if he could leave at any moment, which is absolute bullshit.
I think from their standpoint, yes. Like, they're manipulating him so much.
Correct.
But think about when he actually decided to do it, he did it. The thing that he had to overcome was his fear, you know, the fear of the water.
Right.
And then he was able to do it.
Right. But, you know, they manipulated up until the very last second. So.
Yeah. I like what a disparaging look this is at corporations being in control of people's lives. Anyway, it's a philosophical movie. It raises a lot of questions. And I think the saying like, oh, this is like the Truman Show, or saying, what is this, the Truman Show, has become almost like a word in our language, similar to how we say now, like, oh, just Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, back in the day, you would say, go to google.com and put in your query into the search bar and search for it. Now we just say Google, and you know what that means. To me, the Truman Show feels similar to that. We all know what that means. And at the time when it came out, it felt crazy to think that people would be so enraptured just watching someone live their everyday life. But that is the reality that we live in right now. You know, Sean brought up a great point. People on Twitch are just streaming like their life.
Yeah.
I remember when people started streaming them playing video games, I was like, why would you watch that? Like, as someone who plays video games, why wouldn't I just play video games? But then why do we watch people play football instead of just playing football?
Good point.
Why do we watch a cooking show instead of just cooking ourselves? We are fascinated with watching people do things sometimes instead of just doing them ourselves. And so the people on the television become real. And in the case of reality TV, we know that they are real people.
I mean, now with reality TV, it is so scripted.
Right. And that's the same thing with Truman.
Sure. But he's not aware of it.
Right.
So.
And that's the big problem with their whole idea of like the Truman Show is it's not real.
Right.
And like his responses aren't real. Truman is acting just as much as everybody else. The times that we see Truman alone, he is so different from the person that he is when he's walking around town, with his neighbors, even with his wife. He says to her when he's breaking down, he's like, why do you want to have a baby with me? You can't stand me.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't talk like that to her prior to, his reality falling apart. But that's clearly how he feels.
Right.
And so, their premise is flawed from the beginning because by putting him in this fake environment where he can't be himself, he can't leave, he can't whatever, he's subconsciously adapted to that and become an actor when he's not in just his daily life. Like, these people are acting because they know they're acting. He's acting with his life. What do you think about, like, good science fiction shows us the future in a way that's like really sensational, right? Nobody right now is building this giant dome and,
Hopefully not.
Right. But do you think that this movie inspired people to do this, or that it just showed us the way that we were going?
That's a really good question. I mean,
thank you.
You mean you're welcome. Did you say thank you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that just ruined it. Do you mean like, do I think it inspired production houses to come up with reality TV concepts?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like things are so much in the works. It takes so long for something to get put out there. So It could have been side by side and coincidental. But I mean, for sure. I mean, going back to what you were saying about how the Truman Show has become a word and a term we use like Google. I recently watched Jury Duty, which I've talked to you about.
Yeah.
And James Marsden, he describes Jury Duty as The Office meets The Truman Show.
Right. And you would know what that means.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if it inspired or not. I mean, subconsciously, probably. I'm glad. I mean, I don't think morally you could really do something like this.
I think that we do it on small scales all the time. You
Right,
just
but
get
from
people to sign a
birth?
waiver afterwards.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yes, from birth. There's documentaries. A documentary, I think it's just called Babies. I think I've brought it up on this show before, actually. And it follows 4 babies from around the world from the time they're born to the first year of their life.
But their parents signed off on that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still documenting someone without their permission and without their knowing that it's happening.
That's true. I mean, and that
And
can
so
also...
if that parent just
yeah.
keeps extending that,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
child actor, the parent has to say yes.
Of course. And
so
that gets fishy too, because you're essentially putting a baby out there, a child without their consent, and they didn't even have a choice. It's when and there's that whole thing of like parents choosing not to post their kids on social media. Parents that do and parents that don't, because that can get into a whole ethical debate as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a really great... Have you ever seen Nathan For You?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nathan Fielder, he did a show last year called The Rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And in it, he basically would go through these crazy, detailed, in-depth rehearsals with people so that they could try things out or practice confronting somebody, whatever. In one of them, they recreated, like, to the most minute detail, an entire fast food restaurant, like inside of a warehouse.
Yeah.
Most of the season is covering a woman who wants to rehearse having a kid. And so they simulate the child growing older, like every day or two, the child grows by like a year. Because of acting child labor laws, the kids can't work for more than 3 hours at a time. So each age has to have 6 different kids playing the part. And, I'm not going to like pass judgment on the parents who are doing this, but over the course of the season, it brings up so many moral, ethical questions about the nature of like all media production, basically, and like kids working in, TV and film. It's fascinating. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's called The Rehearsal. It's one of the best things I've ever seen on television. And so as recently as last year, we're still debating and exploring what the ethics are behind doing this. Also recently, this new documentary series called Shiny Happy People about the Duggars came out.
Did you watch that?
I've seen bits and parts of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wild.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
And some of the things are that basically the kids didn't see any money.
No.
You have these kids who are creating television. Their lives are being put on television to sell ads, to make money, and to entertain people. And they have no say in what's happening and no benefit to what's happening.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say, I do think that we would do this, and I think that we do this. I think that it happens all the time on a very small scale, where we are lying to kids. We are putting them in situations that they can't get out of, and their lives are there just for our entertainment.
I mean, that's why people have kids, right?
Wait, what'd you say?
That's why people have kids.
That's why I had kids.
Right.
I was bored and...
It's all selfish.
Well, one day I was sitting on the couch and the remote was like 4 feet away from me. And I thought, if someone else was here, I wouldn't have to get up.
That's why I would want a kid.
Yeah.
Fetch me things. And to wear little hats, of course. Always.
So besides Truman, were there any characters that you liked?
You're assuming I liked Truman.
Oh my gosh. All right. Never mind.
I'm just kidding. Ah!
Did you like Truman?
Yeah, of course I like Truman.
Okay.
Any characters I like? I mean, Marlon, right? This friend who truly, I believe, was a friend and wanted Truman to be done with this experiment, but also was a part of the production.
Right.
I did like Marlon, though. And I thought Kristoff, even though he is the villain,
Yes.
was fascinating in himself. And then Paul Giamatti, which halfway I was
Paul
like, oh my
Giamatti.
God, this is Paul Giamatti. And then did you see my note come through early this morning? Harry Shearer.
Yes, Harry Shearer.
That came to me after I watched the movie hours later, popped into my head. I was like, oh.
I watched a behind-the-scenes documentary that I believe is on a DVD because I found it on YouTube under DVDs and extras
Oh, nice.
or something like that. And Peter Weir and all of the actors go into the backstories for the characters that they were playing.
Yeah.
And I think all of that is good. I think all of that's great. A lot of times, a lot of that stuff doesn't translate to the screen.
Right.
And sometimes, an actor will say, well, I kind of thought he was like this. And you're like, I don't know about that at all. After editing and everything goes, But the way that they were describing their own characters, like Marlon, Noah Emmerich was saying, he was like, okay, so imagine this kid. He's put into this TV show where you literally live there. So clearly he has crazy stage parents. And then he has to lie to Truman every day, all day. He's lying to him. But at the same time, they are friends and they're growing up together. And so he was like, imagine living this like double life. It would like split your personality. Like it would split your view of reality.
But at one point, right, like it has to become one.
Right.
And that, right, in this hypothetical, because your lies, this is your world. You only leave when you're going on vacation and they write you out.
Or you have pneumonia.
Right. But then what? You go back to living your truth, even though it's not the truth, but it kind of is the truth because that's what you're portraying.
Oh yeah, I mean your vacation time would be like your false reality. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I after we watched this movie, I was like, this movie's kind of like The Matrix.
Yes.
You're living in the Matrix.
A year later, later you have the same exact idea.
Right. And so then that's when I texted you and I was like, how about I have a Matrix / Truman Show themed party? And then Ant was like, and also Back to the Future, because Back to the Future always. And that would be in parentheses on the invite.
Right.
Wouldn't that be wild?
Someone could show up dressed like they were in the 50s and you wouldn't know if they were from the Truman Show or Back to the Future.
Right. This theme is so good.
That would be funny. Do like a Leave It to Beaver. Yeah. All of them.
Yeah. Was there a character that you liked besides Truman?
Sylvia. Big fan of Sylvia.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in the decor of her little apartment where you can see all of the signs that are like, who's next? Our children. Or just say no to the Truman Show. There's some stuff that I didn't pick up, but I saw later on that she has actually been contacting all of the actors on the show.
Yeah.
And trying to get them to, like, she's actively trying to, like, free this guy.
Okay, so let's back up. I want to talk about Sylvia for a hot second minute.
Sure.
Okay, so Sylvia Truman, right? His eyes are locked on her. She's obviously hired to be a part of the Truman Show. But for whatever reason, did they hire Meryl? What's her name in real life, though? Not Laura Linney, but what's Meryl's?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Laura?
No, but Laura Linney is who's playing Meryl, but Meryl has
no, I thought that was her name.
Laura Linney. Oh, maybe it is, but in real life it's Laura Linney. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think Laura Linney's character Meryl within the Truman Show was hired to play this character? Why couldn't they just have let Truman go with Sylvia? Do you think it had to do with the writing. They had more control because everybody knows what they're doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Does this make sense?
Oh, no, yeah, 100%. And again, it goes to the simulated reality of freedom. Like, he couldn't pick and choose because there's things going on in the background. Laura Linney, when she was talking about what went into her character, she said she thought every time one of her commercial pitches was successful, she got a portion of the profits.
Right.
Every time she slept with Truman, she got a bump in pay, right?
Yeah.
So Laura Linney, the actor playing Meryl, would have signed a very different contract than the actress playing Sylvia.
Right.
Or Lauren, I think was her name.
Okay.
She's just hired to be, she's an
extra.
She's an extra. And like when you're filming, you can have extras. You can put out a casting call for extras. But as soon as that extra talks, they have to be part of SAG. They have to be paid a different amount because they have speaking lines. And so she literally says to Truman, like, I'm not allowed to talk to you.
Right. Yeah.
And I guarantee you it's, Weir and Nickel putting their show business know-how into like, this is how it would work, So that's kind of why I thought. But yeah, it's simulated. She's not the woman that Christoph wanted for Truman.
Wrote and hired. I mean, imagine being hired. This is like the biggest gig truly of your life. You're playing the wife of Truman. This is your life. You have to sleep with this person. You can't leave. What kind of vacation are you going on? Right. You're not going on vacation unless you have to go on a work trip for nurses. Where are you going?
Nurse conference.
Nurse conference that happens, once a quarter, I guess.
Yeah. Like maybe her parents are from out of town. I mean.
And then to piggyback off of that, so you make this money, you get bonuses. What are you doing with this money? What's the point? What is the point of having the money?
Right. I mean, the end game, I guess, is eventually you get written off and you have money and you spend the other half of your life super crazy rich and famous.
Yeah. And then mentally you're fucked up. And also now you birthed a child, if that were to happen.
Right. So that was really interesting too.
That's crazy to me.
Listening to Weir talk about Christoph didn't make me like Christoph. I don't like Christoph, but it made the whole thing make a lot more sense. He envisioned Christoph as a documentarian who had won an Oscar for making a documentary about homeless people. And how he did it was he set up hidden cameras in like a squat house. And he became interested in this idea of like, okay, filming people and like they don't know that they're being filmed. And so in all this behind the scenes stuff, we don't really see a lot of it actually on the screen. Christoph originally intended for the Truman Show to be one camera, literally, in the nursery, and it would just be the first year of Truman's life. Then when the show was so popular, they fleshed the show out even more. They had the dad character come in, and they began to like build the house out. And so as Truman's world got bigger as a child, the world like literally just got bigger. And that's when they decided, okay, we're gonna do this from the time that he's born to the time that he dies. And in a deleted scene, he has a meeting with the main cast while Truman is sleeping. And he's saying, okay, Meryl is going to be leaving the show. We understand why. This new character is going to come in. We're going to proceed with the on-air... What is it?
Conception.
Yeah, we're going to proceed with the on-air conception. And when the baby is born, we will split into 2 TV networks. There will be one channel that's the Truman Show, and there will be one channel that is this new baby. And the Noah Emmerich's character is like, well, what about when they're in the same room? He's like, well, it'll just be double coverage. It might not be the same thing. And so the idea is that it would just keep going on and on and on.
Right.
Yeah, really crazy. Christoph, I sent you a picture earlier.
What's the deal with the chef's coat?
Christoph is wearing a chef's coat in this movie, which I thought was really interesting as someone who works in food. When I was a kid, I just thought he was wearing like a cutting edge, weird, artsy director clothes or whatever. But it's a full on chef's coat. And I love that detail because chefs are notoriously crazy control freaks. And that's Christoph to a T. So it's a funny little detail that you might not notice unless you know what a chef's coat looks like. And then it like jumps out at you and you're like, oh my gosh. Like, and by looking at his outfit, it's like, oh, I get this guy 100%. I understand completely, why he chooses to wear this and the message that he's sending to the people around him, because he is the chef. Everyone else, they're working their stations, but he is controlling what they're doing as they're doing it, like a director, but also like a chef.
Yeah. Didn't the dome, the production part of it, look like Dr. Evil's lair?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is CGI in the shot of the town. Mm-hmm. Two of the buildings, they added like an extra story to them. I never knew that was CGI. Wow. It looks really good. Once you know it's CGI, you can look at it and you're like, okay. But the CGI of the dome is bad. Okay, I don't want to say bad. No. It was of the time, but it does not look, it doesn't look as good.
Yeah. I wish, and this wouldn't have done anything for the movie, and it wasn't necessary, but to make this, I wish we would have kind of saw more how they built this world. Mm-hmm. How did you add this large body of water? Show me how you installed the lighting for the sun and the rain and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That's what I wish we could have seen, even though it does not matter to the story.
Right.
But show me how you did this elaborate world, because
maybe
it is
there'll be
ridiculous.
Prequel.
Yeah, give me a prequel. I don't need a sequel.
The Truman Show, the production years.
Yeah, give me like a documentary on building the Truman Show within the Truman Show.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That's actually kind of funny. That would
right?
If you did it as a making of documentary, you might actually be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Because all of the Truman stuff would be on the peripheral, and it would almost be like more sinister, because
exactly,
while this like baby is growing up, they're talking about, that's not bad. Pitch it to somebody, Michelle.
Thanks so much. Yeah. I pitched it to you.
All right, I'll do.
Make pizza and let's make this movie.
I do have one character to finally answer your question 20 minutes later that I do love in this movie, other than Truman. And that is the guy in the tub.
Tub guy! To be honest with you, that was my only note. And then you were like, send me your notes. I was like, oh shit, I actually have to come up with notes. I was not lying when I said I had one note. And it was, what's the deal with tub guy? He's only in the tub. And also I really appreciate his little jar of the like bath jellies.
Yeah.
Those were a thing that I loved.
Hey, he lives there, man.
We had like such interesting viewers that we kept seeing, right? We had the two old women.
Yep. Which reminded me of you and Krista.
Right. And then we had bathtub guy.
Yep.
And we had the two, were they cops or security guards?
Security guards.
Okay.
Like at a parking garage. Because towards the end, they come in and like, just leave the keys in it.
Which is so funny. And then they were like, what else should we watch next? Which was just perfect. It's perfect. And then we had a couple of other family shots. But those three pairings or viewers.
And then the bar, the Truman bar.
Oh my God, the Truman bar. Yes. Yes.
Fun fact, Tub Guy had worked with Peter Weir before, like in actual acting.
No way.
And he is most famously known for as Napoleon from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
So if you have seen Bill and Ted, you obviously will remember Napoleon from that. That is Tub Guy. And he plays a very like eccentric, manic, wild Napoleon in that movie. So seeing him in this role, it was like, oh, this makes total sense.
Wow. Wow.
I loved when Truman is escaping on the boat. Mm-hmm. And he's like gripping a towel and he's like pulling himself up. He's like, you can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Tub Guy. Yeah, I love the viewers, and I love how all of them have kind of postponed their lives in a small way or in a big way in his case, to where like they just have to see what happens next, and so you can't get up. There's a really famous story about how after the series finale of MASH, like the sewers were overrun because everyone flushed their toilet at the same time because nobody wanted to get up and use the bathroom because they just like had to see how it ended.
No
so it ends and then everybody's like, okay, and then like runs to the bathroom.
Wow.
And so imagine if you had a show that never ended and you were invested in it. Like it would just have to become part of your life. Now with cell phones
Yeah.
and
Always connected.
AirPods, you would just have it. There would probably be, a phone would probably have a feature where the Truman Show would like always be in the corner.
Yeah. But
we can
again,
do that now with
like
videos.
you said this, right? You would tune in, on Wednesdays because that's when
Right.
something specific happens, or the wedding, or
Right.
what have you.
Yeah, I love when they're doing the flashback sequence and the guy at the bar is like, "We already have this on the greatest hits." Okay, so I'm going to bring up something that I don't like about this movie, or that I don't really believe, I guess. I think they did a really good job of answering a lot of the questions in small ways. Sometimes it's visual, Well, how did they do that? Or how does this work? We get a lot of visual cues from it. The Harry Shearer part is the one big exposition dump of the movie. But it works because it's fun. Harry Shearer is fun.
Great. We love Harry Shearer.
Right. They're answering questions. He's asking questions. Well, what about this? And Christoph is like, well, as you will remember. So it's it's right to the edge of like, come on, guys. But it answers questions that you've been wondering. And one thing the movie does really good that Sean brought up, 58 minutes into the movie before we full on see the controls. The movie starts with Christoph saying, we've become bored with actors, right? It doesn't feel real. So we've seen him already. Very quickly towards the start of the movie is when the light comes down. So we're not submerged into his world for a long time before everything starts unraveling. But almost an hour into an hour and 40-minute movie, we're not really seeing who's doing stuff and how it's being done. So I get the exposition dump. By that point, you have so many questions, and the movie answers them for you and then moves along. The part that I really, it's never jived with me, and it still doesn't after watching it this week, is how he escapes from his basement.
I know. I have the same issue. How did no one saw him and he got on the boat and it's all gravy? No.
I mean, they explain it a bit. Paul Giamatti is supposed to be at the controls. He's not. He says, "Oh, I thought I'd let the kid try it or whatever." Christoph is asleep. You kind of get it. But how did Truman record himself snoring and put that on a loop with no one noticing?
Right.
How did he knew exactly the placement of the cameras without inspecting around? Meanwhile, they're the size of
I know.
a tiny little thing. Movies are movies. Sometimes things happen and you just have to let them go. I'm fine with that. I'm never here to pick apart, except for Shrek.
Yeah, okay, thank you. It was like
the logic of a movie.
Back up, sir.
But this part has it's just never sat right with me. And then the second part is they say that the actor who played Truman's dad made his way back onto the set. Like he wasn't supposed to be there that day when he was there, like as the homeless person.
Really?
And that also
Really?
Yes.
Didn't Christoph say we brought him back because
he says since he's the one who started this journey, he had to be the one to finish it, and that's why they brought him back. But initially, when they like whisk him away, he wasn't supposed to be there. He says he was upset. He was disappointed when he read that he was going to be written out of the script, and that's probably why he decided to break back in later.
How did you break back in?
And that's exactly the other part of it that I'm like, which is so strange. Like, I'm willing to believe that there can be this dome and all that stuff, but I'm not willing to believe, these two little things. So, yeah, I mean, those are the two things that I'm not really 100% on board for. But.
I mean, I have a whole problem with the door and the dome at the end.
Oh, do you? Oh, I love the door. Oh.
No, I like it, but also when you really think about it, it's like, really? Logistic? What? No.
Well, how else would people get in?
Why are people getting in over there?
Because there's a ferry that would come and pick them up and bring them in.
And so there's just... No.
Okay. Do you mean like it should have been like a loading dock door, like a bigger door? Like everyone's going single file through one time.
I get aesthetically, it looks...
Maybe there's another door.
These effing doors. Also, like, how deep is this water? I just need to know logistics of the water.
Yeah. Yes. How deep is the water?
Is there wildlife? Did things, evolve and grow over time? We must have algae. Do we have fish? People must have fished.
Must they?
Well, in this little town, he's in a seaside town, right?
Right.
You're telling me no one has gone fishing? Does Truman not even know the concept of fishing?
Truman has to know parts of the outside world because he watches I Love Lucy.
Right.
Yeah.
So New York exists. California exists.
Yeah.
Italy exists.
It's interesting. The magazines that are for sale are babies, dog, cat, puzzles, golf. It's like no actual news, no actual...
Right. Non-stressors.
Right. I want to come back to the door because I do want to...
Okay.
I can't not talk about the door. I love the door so much.
Okay.
All right, hold on.
He loves the door, folks.
I do. One other quick thing before we move fully on from Christoph. Harry Shearer, as the announcer, says, "We know how much you love your privacy." And I thought that was a really, really funny detail, just of the hypocrisy of this guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like facts about this movie or like little tidbits that are really interesting. And if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to seek them out. A lot of cool stuff, like Truman takes vitamin D pills because there's no sun. Laura Linney was given a like 1950s Sears Roebuck catalog, and that's what she based all of her like movement and poses on, which I think is really funny because one of her main functions in the movie is to sell stuff.
Right.
And that's part of the really dark subject of this film is like everything just boils down to selling stuff. And, for me, when I'm listening to a podcast about a horrible murder or missing children, and then it suddenly cuts and the host is like, "Hey, you should buy this underwear." Yeah. It's always like very sobering. And I know that people have to make money in order to do things. Like, I get that. But just having Truman fall apart and his wife is selling cocoa like in the same moment. It's so depressing. Like it's really, really depressing.
Right, but that's her job.
I know, right? And that's how that translates to reality is all of these artists that we look up to also they have their job to do, and part of their job is to sell stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty it's pretty dark.
Can you educate me on why Truman's butt was in the air in the garden?
Yes. Remind me to talk really quickly about how this was a real town.
Oh, you go with that. Go with that then.
Part of that, in a deleted scene, Meryl gives Truman like this workout outfit. And so there's all these like really funny, like Jim Carrey doing like a lot of physical activity, whatever stuff. And there's this other viewing couple in like a hotel room or probably their apartment. And they're like wearing the same outfit and they're like trying to do the same exercises along with him. So you see how like every part of his life is designed, like even just like exercise, eating, things that are very personal and like fundamentally make us us. It's all just to sell stuff.
I would have loved if that was in there. That's so creative, a built-in workout video.
Yes, and it kind of drove that point that I just made like even more home. That like every part of what he does is just to sell another product.
Right.
Which one I think makes for a crappy show.
Well, yeah, but there's no advertisers. So they need it.
Right.
This is built-in advertising, so it's kind of baked in to make it feel more natural, even though it's clearly not.
So there's this one shot after that scene would have been where Truman is like digging in the ground and you kind of like see his butt. And that always like stood out to me as strange.
Same.
But after seeing that part of it, it was almost like look at his body, you know, look at how his butt looks in these shorts, or look at the exercises that he's doing, and this is like kind of how it's paying off. I don't know if it's just like, hey, this would be kind of a funny shot, because everything is again like stylized and gone over to present to the audience a specific view. Right.
And I have to backtrack. Not that they don't have advertisers. There's no commercials.
Right. Oh, that's what I understood.
I understood. But I was like, wait a minute. No, of course they have advertisers. They don't have commercial breaks. That's why they need the built-in advertising.
So because this world is like so hyper stylized, I always just assumed this was on a lot or they like made this. This is a real town. All of it is real. Like I said earlier, they added like 2 stories onto 2 buildings. Obviously, the Kristoff stuff, that's filmed elsewhere. But they said, they're like, we added almost nothing to this town. Like, it really looks like that.
Yeah.
And that was, like, really interesting that they were able to find a place like this. And then they had to, you know, basically live there. And Noah Emmerich, in one of the behind-the-scenes thing, was saying at one point they called him because the house that he was staying in was like close to where they were shooting, and they could actually see him like walking back and forth in the windows. And they were like, hey, you got to get out of the shot.
Oh my God. See, that's really trippy.
And he said, he was like, it was this weird moment of like, we're making this movie about actors who live in this place, and we're actors who are like literally living, you know, in a house next to the house that we're shooting in. Yeah, he was like, it was very, very trippy and strange.
Do you happen to know how long it took to film this movie?
I didn't see how long it took to film, but I know that Nickel finished his first draft of the script in 1991.
I did know that, and it was way different and really dark.
It was very different. It was called The Malcolm Show.
Yeah.
It was about a much younger person. His world would have been like New York City. It was darker and grittier. And I think had it gone that way, it would have been one of 100 science fiction stories. The direction Peter Weir took it in making it lighter, making it a more desirable place to be than just like, oh, look at, the grit of New York City and life is scary. I think it makes it so much more sinister. Like it's more scary. It's more Stepford Wives. I don't know if you've seen the Stepford Wives.
I loved that.
Yeah, it's very.
I saw that in theaters.
Oh, the
movie.
You should watch the original. It's better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I only saw the one with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. The original is really, really good too. But it can be more sinister when the shiny, happy people, to call back to the Duggars, are the ones who are like perpetrating the violence against the person.
Yeah.
All right. So before we switch gears, we have to talk about this ending. I think this is one of the great endings in film history. I think from the moment we see that he's on the boat, the spirit of the film changes. And it would be hard to watch this up to this point and not begin to feel very excited and like invested in what is happening. We know that he's in a dome. He doesn't know that he's in a dome. We don't really know what's going to happen. We have the whole scene with the storm. He survives the storm, and his boat just kind of slowly crashes into the side of the wall, and it like tears a hole in the wall, right? They decided to make it silent at this point. Throughout the whole film, because of the hidden cameras, we get all these vignettes around the lens, and that subconsciously or consciously reminds us of silent films, because back in silent films there would almost always be some form of vignette. Nothing was like full screen, and they wanted to keep this to silence with just the music and the physicality of his performance. He's like banging against the wall and he's like breaking down. He finds the stairs. That image of the stairs, I don't know that there's a more perfect like just image. It's perfect. It is perfect. His shadow on the wall, the shadow of the stairs themselves, the design of it, the height of the stairs. I mean, every part of it,
I would have liked
to me, works.
An exit sign.
You would have liked an exit sign? I think maybe.
Yeah, because that's really just...
So the door, when he opens the door, normally when you have a character escape, the door to their freedom would be flooded with light. They would see light under the crack of the door. They would walk out into the daylight. They would be discovered, right? They were lost, now they're found. They were trapped, now they're out into the open. That is not Truman's door. Truman's door is completely black. And he's not escaping out of being hidden like in a prison. You know, when you're in prison, you are hidden from society so that you cannot hurt society. Truman is like on full display every moment of his life for his entire life. And what he disappears into and what he escapes into isn't light. It's darkness, it's obscurity. And for the first time, we can't see him at all because there are no cameras on him. I don't know if the choice was on purpose or not. It is genius. It's like, I will say, you know how I was saying, I don't really know why this movie is so great. From the moment the storm ends to the moment the film ends, it is perfect.
You don't think that was done on purpose? That, of course, was done on purpose.
It could have been done on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah, that has to have been done on purpose
to
create that impact.
Yeah,
for sure.
But the way that he just disappears into it, and then it's intercut with Christoph realizing that he's been beaten, because he says to him, "You can't leave because you're afraid. I know you better than you know yourself." And that is definitely the language of an abuser. That's definitely the language of a manipulator. And Truman overcomes an overcomable system, and it's like a triumph of humanity and like actually leaving. Like, he was afraid of the water for a good reason. He was afraid of disrupting his perfect life. He's married to Meryl. He knows that she doesn't like him. He doesn't like his job. He doesn't like any of this stuff. He is just going through the motions, whatever. Anyway, it's perfect. The music, we haven't really talked about the music. The music in this movie is awesome. We have only one song that has lyrics, which is during the dance. It's a song by T-Rex, 20th Century Boy, I think it's called. The rest of it is classical, and then the score. Philip Glass is one of the most highly revered film composers ever. And in this final shot, from the moment, well, oh my gosh, there's so much. We should have just talked about the ending the whole time. His line of, "If I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night," I think is also one of the best movie quote lines ever, because of like just everything that's wrapped up in, him saying it. He takes his final bow and then he walks out. The music that is playing from that sequence is a song that Philip Glass composed for the film Mishima, which is about an author, Yukio Mishima. And that film, directed by Paul Schrader, amazing movie. If you haven't seen it and you're listening to this and you want to have like your head blown off and like feel the full weight of what film can do, watch Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. That movie is about a real life author, and the story is told through his works while also showing the end of his life. The song is called Opening, and it's the song that opens the movie Mishima. Here, Philip Glass uses it to end the story of an artist who doesn't know that he's an artist. And it's a weird little, it's a great song as you're watching it, but it's just like such a weird little detail from like film nerds, you know what I mean? That if you know both sides of it, is really mind-blowing. So anyway, I love the ending of this movie. If this movie was just that sequence and I was just rating it on that, it would be like 100 out of 5.
Wow. Wow.
What did you think? Were you like pumping your fist as he left?
Oh, yeah.
Were you crying? Were you like, yay?
No. I was like, I remember this. You said it all, Seth.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ditto.
Do you think that him and Sylvia end up together?
I don't know. I honestly, I am happy that we don't see him come out on the other side.
Oh,
we don't need to see it.
No.
I don't need to know what happened to Truman. I'm not curious about it. I think it's led to believe that he did end up with Sylvia.
He's got the face composite of her hidden in his wife's photograph.
I know. Oh my God, the photo album that he's going through, and he's like, wow, Mount Rushmore looks so tiny. It was so funny.
And also him as a little kid, as a clown behind bars.
I know.
It's like dark.
Dark, yeah.
So this movie was made for $60 million. Ended up making 264 at the box office. Big hit that year. Roger Ebert gives it 4 out of 4 stars. Right now it's got a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.2 on Letterboxd, 90 on Metacritic. Those are all very high scores for their respective scores. Jim Carrey does win the Golden Globe for acting. A lot of people think it was a massive oversight, that he's not nominated for the Oscar for it. I don't know that this is like that great of a performance. I think it's great.
It's just different. It's not what you're used to, and you're like, oh, Jim Carrey has range?
Right.
Cool.
Right. So we asked some people on Twitter what they thought, and we kind of got like an overwhelming response. I'm kind of surprised. We always get a good response. I'm like, I can't read everyone's responses this time. We got so many. So I'm sorry if you responded and I'm not about to read your thing, but there was just too many to read. Wow. And they're all good. You can check them out on our Twitter, Movie Friends Pod. But people love this movie. Betsy, our good friend Betsy from Never Seen It with Betsy and Trent, at gorham.betsy. Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
She says, this is a phenomenal movie that I just appreciate more and more the older I get. No Oscar nomination for Jim Carrey? Straight to jail. Carlo from the Movie Loot at Thief CGT said, it's great. A thought-provoking breakdown of society's obsession with reality TV and other people's intimacy via a parody of classic sitcoms, while also examining the contrasts of fate versus choice. I love it.
Nice. Yes.
Michael Lee Lewis, who I've just got to say, such a nice guy. Listening.
He's the one who reshares us, right, on his stories?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Okay, Michael Lee Lewis, let me just tell you something. I screenshot your shares almost every week, and I'm like, Seth, who is this guy? What's their deal? And Seth's just like,
are you like
really
suspicious of him liking our show?
Just like, I guess maybe. I'm like, why? But like, thank you so much. Us? And you're like, he's just a really nice person.
Yeah. I'm astounded whenever someone says that they listen. I'm like, why and how? Like, why do you listen to
I feel that way about all of my shows.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's definitely weird.
Yeah.
So he's at Michael Lee Louis, and instead of an S, it's a 4. Louis 4? Yeah, hey.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I have no words.
Or maybe I spelled it wrong. He says, one of the only films I can actually bear to watch Jim Carrey in. And the reason that I picked this one, other than Michael just being a cool dude, or a cool bloke, as they say over in England, is I don't want to say I totally agree, but there are 2 Jim Carrey careers.
Yeah.
And I am not a big fan of the comedy stuff. I've tried it. I will continue to try it. I still have not sat down to watch Dumb and Dumber all the way through. I will do it. But this movie really put him on like a totally different path. Some of my favorite movies, Man on the Moon, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I love that
Truman
movie.
Show. You know, he's just so talented. And I don't want to detract from his comedic talents, but it is not for me. What about, do you like that stuff? Like The Mask and...
I love The Mask.
Okay.
And I think Ace Ventura is just nostalgic for me. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if I were to watch it now and I'd be like, I don't know. But I think I enjoy him more in dramatic roles, actually.
I found as I watched The OC and Seth Cohen is not a fan of big comedy, I was like, yes, that is literally me. I have said that many, many times. I just don't like, I feel like anybody can do that.
Well, I don't feel that way. It's just like I find different things more comical. That's why that's like how I feel with Will Ferrell and Elf. I just can't do Elf.
I'm close.
And I get he's playing a character. Well, they're all playing characters. It does not hit for me.
I'm not a big Will Ferrell guy.
There's some things I like of him, but
yeah,
he's big.
Elf
though.
is one that I like. Elf
he
is
can
one
be
that
big.
I like.
How is? Oh my god! Don't make me watch Elf for this.
I think that Elf is written really well.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
James Caan is always great. It's really fun seeing James Caan in this kids movie.
Yeah.
Even though he's playing like a gruff guy, it's still kind of
Zoe.
funny,
I do love Zoe Deschanel. Too.
Yeah. Seth. What? At Seth_Stoger. I know, Michelle's like, another Seth? Ugh.
Too many. Although I have to say, I am very, very proud of you for bringing up Seth Cohen.
He's great.
My
he and I
OC
are very similar.
Heart is, we are proud of you.
I follow a couple other Seths who are also into movies, and I always say to them, like, Thank you, other Seth. Or like, I don't usually use people like proper nouns like when addressing people. I always use Seth whenever I'm talking to them because it's just so funny to me. Mm-hmm. This film, okay. So anyway, other Seth says, this film deserves Criterion treatment. Director Peter Weir is a genius at telling the story of a fish out of water. Example, Witness, Dead Poets Society. But Truman Show is so relevant today. It was relevant 15 years ago with reality TV shows like Survivor and The Real World. And I totally agree. It's surprising this isn't in the National Film Registry or part of the Criterion Collection yet, but given enough time, it will probably end up on both. Steven at Steven Lombardio says, a prophetic masterpiece that works on so many levels. Not only an outstanding drama, also a very funny and smartly written satire in both a gentle and sharp way. And I agree, it is very gentle. Like you had brought up, the original was so different.
Yeah.
This feels like I said, it's PG. Is this like the first PG movie we've covered? You know what I mean? Except for like Shrek. Ghibli and Totoro and Shrek. Yeah. It is. It's very, so good description, Stephen. Smartly written satire in both a gentle and sharp way. A movie full of well thought through details that takes multiple times to notice. Also true. A genius carry, perfect casting. Also true. Meryl at MerylMath _ like a Matthew maybe, but
cute.
Cutting
or
off the
maybe
U.
just like I like mathematics.
Well, there's an extra T, so they would like math, but not English.
Okay.
I thought of it as like Matthew without the U.
Okay. Anyway,
they say, one of my fave films ever. Profoundly affected me as a 20-something-year-old when I saw it, and it still does all these years later. So those are some people that we know. And now we're going to go to a segment of the show, and we're going to hear from some people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Okay, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie, and we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. So the half-star review, I'm going to try to read this in an Australian accent this time, because Peter Weir is Australian.
Good luck.
Okay. Hated this film. Biggest waste of my time since junior set woodwork. And let me tell you, I wasted a lot of time in that class. Like I still don't know what a sliding bevel is. And apparently, I have used one. This sort of movie is definitely not my cup of cha-cha at all, at all. Half star.
It seems like it is since they referenced the actual product used. So
I picked that for this sort of movie is definitely not my cup of cha-cha.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Not for you.
3-star review says, this was really good and the ending was fantastic, as Truman begins to realize just how strange everything is around him. I think the plotline with the girl kind of ruined it for me, though, because honestly, I think it would have been better if he figured it out himself without the memories of the girl aiding him and stuff. Overall, it was really good and Jim did a fantastic job acting. 3 stars.
Great review.
Yeah. Hey, girls can help. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
We can facilitate things.
Sure. Most of the time you do.
That's right.
5-star review starts out with a quote, "You never had a camera in my head." Ugh. Just a perfect movie. One of my absolute favorites. A movie that on rewatch gets better every single time without fail. I can't get enough of watching it. When watching the final moments of him swimming to the edge of his own world, my mom explained it perfectly when she said it was a Rocky moment. And I think that they're referring to Rocky the film. I found excitement rushing through my body. I wanted to fist pump the air so bad. This movie brings something out of me that I love. Amazing flick. top 10 for sure, I think.
Wow.
5 stars. Yep.
Fist pump.
Yeah.
That's some level of excitement.
One last thing about the ending, if I may.
Fine, Seth. Should I take a
It's
nap?
it's just beautiful that the water was the thing that he was afraid of. He couldn't get on the boat, and it was the thing that he was afraid of that leads him out.
Do you think by then he's like, it's all fake? I just have to get to the other side. He didn't know he didn't know the water was fake.
In the storm, he literally says to them, "You're going to have to kill me."
Right.
Yeah, and I think that is the position that he's in. He's like, I don't care if I die, I am leaving. Like, I have to get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for a lot of people who have been through, like, abuse and manipulative situations, that is the point that they feel that they are bringing themselves to, is like, I don't care what happens to me. Because they feel that detaching themselves from that source would be likened unto death, because they've been made to feel like this will be the end of your world if you don't stay with me. So that's what I have to say about that. So after all that and me talking for an hour and a half.
True. There's just me saying yeses. Yep. True. Sure.
What are you rating this movie? Do you recommend it? Is this a schmovie, a movie, a film? Let me hear it.
Okay. So it's a movie.
Okay.
Absolutely recommending this one.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how you would escape it. You'd have to, if you have escaped it, then you definitely know it from pop culture, I would think.
Yes.
And I'm going to give it 4 stars.
Great.
Yeah, it feels in my gut, it's like a solid 4.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
That's how it feels. Like, truly. And I'm thinking about, and I know you say that I shouldn't compare it to the other movies we've rated and blah, 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 blah. So before you go in that little rant, Seth.
You do whatever you want.
Sure. But there's other movies I've rated higher. But this one's a solid 4 for me.
Yeah.
Solid 4.
Doesn't this movie feel like it's great, but it feels like it's slipping through your fingers? Like there's something intangible about rating this, or like holding this film. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree. I think that's why like it's great. It's so deep, and then it's so surface at the same time.
Right. And in reading about it, in talking to people about it, I said in the Discord, it turns out that this is like so many people's like secret favorite, but it's not secret. I think that it just it doesn't stay with you. I mean, it stays with you. I don't know. I'm saying the same thing.
I know. No, I feel this. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's your rating?
I think that this is a film.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm sorry to disagree with you, even though
I
don't really believe in this rating system.
Hey, listen, this is the only one that matters.
Just, this to me is a film. And I'm also rating this movie 4 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the second week in a row we've agreed.
Not for anything that I dislike about it.
I know.
I think that it is as strong of a 4 as it can be.
I agree.
And I love it. And yeah, I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen this movie, not too long.
Nope.
You get it. You know what's happening, you know, and the parts you don't get, they explain to you. It's good. It's over. It's done. So anyway, thanks, Sean.
What?
I said, so anyway, thanks, Sean.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Sean.
What's
was
great
fun.
What's great about these movies is, one, I do kind of feel like the pressure's off, because if you don't like it, I didn't choose it.
Right.
And then 2, these are all really great movies. Like the pool that we're picking from, because we're picking randomly.
Yeah.
These are all great movies that I wouldn't necessarily put into our program. So I'm glad, at some of these. Anyway, it's now time to talk about next week's episode. So I've got my little cup here.
Oh, it's still the ketchup cup.
Oh, yeah. Why would it not be?
I don't really know, actually. But
this has sat here.
Right. Yeah.
It's
okay.
Just, for, who cares? Whatever. I'm done talking.
Well, you're not.
Last recording, also, I kept doing this because I was on the video with you guys. but
Yeah.
on the recording, it just is like ding, ding. And it was like all throughout like a whole big section. And I was like, oh my God, don't do that this time. So I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
All right. So randomly selecting a slip of paper from my cup. Next week's film will be When Harry Met Sally.
All right. Let's do this. Sweet.
Which is a film that you have seen, right?
Of course I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really funny. I get really offended when you ask me if I've seen a movie that I've seen, and I'm like, duh. But then when people ask if I've seen a movie, I'm like, no, I don't watch movies. So there's like,
Right.
I have one mode.
Yes.
And
literally,
it's sassy all the time.
I'll say like, oh, you know this one. And you're like, why would I know that? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
And then when you're like, have you seen it? And I'm like, duh.
yeah.
God, Seth.
Yeah. Just don't ask Michelle about a movie.
Don't. Do not
Yeah.
ask me. You could wear a shirt that says talk to me about movies, and then I'll stand right next to you and I'll wear a shirt that says, please do not talk to me about movies.
That sounds like a good picture idea.
Yeah.
I do want to make a t-shirt that says something like, I'm a safe person to talk to about movies,
Yeah.
so that you can wear it in public and you can make your own movie friends.
Wow.
Anyway, next week we're talking about When Harry Met Sally. This was submitted by Brian and Hannah,
No way.
and we guested on their show,
They're so sweet.
and we talked about Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, they're so sweet.
This is 96 minutes, directed by Rob Reiner from 1989. Currently streaming on Tubi. Shout out to Tubi. And yeah, it's a delightful little film. So I'm excited to talk about it. We haven't talked
too.
about romance in a while.
I know. So, but
Thank
this
God.
one will be a good one. It's like a rom-com.
Oh, it's great. Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan. I mean, Meg
Yeah.
Ryan
I love Meg Ryan.
is unbelievable in this film, I
Yeah.
think. But
Yeah.
to outshine Billy Crystal in a movie focused on words is pretty outstanding to me. Anyway, well, hey, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Brian. We love hearing from people. If you want us to hear from you, you can send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Also, look, I am on the edge here, okay? I am
Why are you on the edge?
going to lose it if you do not stop what you're doing and rate and review this show
I could have went
whatever.
so many ways.
platform that you are listening to, okay? Please. I'm begging you. Everybody loves that, right? When you beg people to do things for you for free.
Yep.
Hey, if you like the show, you can also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. You get access to 3 additional shows. Right now, some more might be coming. You never know. You also get access to our patron-only Discord. And you get Michelle and I being like, wow, we love you. You know what's really pathetic is like the people who support us are probably like, yeah, I'll support this show. I support a lot of shows. They're like, yeah, whatever. And then us on the other side of it are like, this person is our best friend. Like,
I know. I think about that all the time.
like we're like, oh, this person loves us and we love them.
Yeah, like I genuinely care about you and your relationships and your pets, and I want to know your pets' names, and I want
Yes.
to pet your pets.
Yes. That's it, right? That's usually how it ends.
That's it, Seth. Every week. I don't know how to end this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, hey, until next week when we're talking about When Harry Met Sally, thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Pecora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks.